That's what we have Google for. We don't have to remember things.
All right, so now we're going to discuss our agreed list of our best horror movies. But to just kind of set the scene a little bit for this, we used to run a horror movie site back in the 90s and the early aughts called zombiegirls.net. I used to write as under the name Living Dead Girl.
Yes, and I was under the name Voodoo Girl from that Tim Burton book of poems.
And yeah, so we did that for a while. And this list we made in, oh God, what, 90, 97, 98.
It's an old list.
It is an old list, but we still stand by it.
Mhm.
So these are our top 5 best/favorite horror movies. So number 5, we're starting at Spider Baby. 1968 black comedy, directed, written by Jack Hill, featuring Lon Chaney Jr., Sid Haig, and yeah, I just love this movie still to this day.
Yes, it's a very fun movie to watch, too, also.
It is, and I love the song, the opening song, which was also covered by the band Fantomas on their album Director's Cut. So if you haven't heard that version of that song, check it out. It's really good. And it's always in one of my Halloween playlists or, my Day That Ends in Y playlist. So, but yeah, I just thought that, the story was great, the atmosphere, and I think the comedy, especially with like the Sid Haig, man, and so the idea behind the movie is that there's the 3 kids in the Mary family, and they live in this like fallen down mansion, and they've got Lon Chaney's Jr.'s character Bruno, who is like their butler, manservant, takes care of them. And what was do you remember the deal with the syndrome though?
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Like,
Damn it.
I know it doesn't it cause them to like mentally like regress and become more childlike
Right, yeah.
as they get older, which is why
Been
like
a while.
Virginia and what was the other sister's name?
Haven't seen it in 20 years.
Why can I not think of Elizabeth? Elizabeth. Yes, the 3 kids. It was Virginia, Elizabeth, and Sid Haig playing Ralph, their brother. They're obviously inbred. It's a group of inbred. That's where the syndrome comes from. I do believe when you get into the story, it's the syndrome comes from the fact that they're inbred, and somehow there's the lawyers that get involved, and the guy who is the heir. So yeah, and part of the plot is that there's 2, like they're distant relatives of this family, but they show up with a lawyer to kind of get themselves declared as the rightful heirs of the mansion and everything, and they are just not aware what they're getting into with going to this house, and it doesn't really end well for anybody. So.
Well, I remember that I had like a collector's edition VHS of that too, like 20 years ago or so. At the front cover like opened up like a book or something.
I have a collector's DVD of it, and yeah, no, I still think it's a great movie. So now we can go on to number 4 on our list is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So anybody who's familiar with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we don't really need to explain the plot and the story there to you because but it was 1974, directed by Tobe Hooper. It was part of his wasn't one of his student art projects or something.
I remember I interviewed Paul Partain via email briefly, but he ended up passing away before the interview was really concluded, so I only had a couple questions, but that was also for our old website.
Right.
And he was the character Franklin in the wheelchair.
Yep. Who I was just I just watched this like a couple days ago. And we were doing a movie night, and it was the chosen movie. And so, and what's great is showing it to somebody who's never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And you're kind of like, they hear the stories about how it was banned everywhere and it's so horrible and grisly, and like I really think that people are expecting Saw, but it's like, no, this is a movie that you've never really seen anything like it, and there really isn't anything like that first Texas, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Right. I know when they did the remake, it's like they tried to like do that and expand on it, but I think that actually diminished from the original story of not really knowing fully. But I mean, if you pay attention and you listen to the dialogue, you get the story of what's going on here. Mm-hmm. You just have to listen to the hitchhiker who's crazy as fuck, and I could totally see if you're like, but the lunatic's insight, listen to the crazy people. That's a thing with all horror movies. They're your harbinger. So, but
but yeah, again, overall, just the atmosphere and things.
Yeah, the atmosphere is good, and just having rewatched it, we were commenting on the scene where Sally jumps out the second story window. That actually wasn't Marilyn Burns. It was one of the crew who put on a blonde wig, and they really did jump out that second story window, which kudos to that guy who did that, adding to the realism. And I think that's what, it's the little stuff like that makes it, I mean, realistic, kind of grounded in reality.
And just like the tenseness of the after he's in there and so.
Yeah. Oh, the dinner scene.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's great.
Yeah. Love that. Still one of my favorite movie scenes. And the other thing that the soundtrack, I love the soundtrack for it. It's really good.
That also makes it, yeah.
Yeah, just creepy ambient, noise. And I've never had the sound of an Instamatic make me jump before, but it's like, so yeah, it's definitely, earned its spot on the list.
And yeah, I guess we could move on to number 3, Evil Dead. We're doing Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2?
Evil Dead 2. Okay. Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2. Yes, because that one is it's more iconic.
It is. I think more people, due to it being a black comedy, yes. I think more people saw it than the original, Mm-hmm. And I know, speaking from my own personal experience, that I saw Evil Dead 2 before I saw Evil Dead. So, which was kind of left me in a bit of since the two are like totally different.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared for how serious the first one was, but I love how they basically take up that story, or take that similar story, and rework it in Evil Dead 2. I love the acting.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Campbell's great. It's Ash. I have evil Ash.
Mm-hmm.
I should have brought him down.
I'm a Deadite.
But no, we were discussing how, like we have the theory, it's one of the alternate realities that Bruce. Ash keeps fucking up and ending up in various timelines and has to fix it, a la Roland in the Dark Tower. And and it was all because of the chainsaw, when he goes to go for the chainsaw and he knows where it's at, but it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's a bit of dumb, but it's movie speculation, and we had
Yeah.
fun with that.
The laughing scene of with the taxidermied heads and things. It
Yes,
has great
and
great scenes.
the couch and the chair,
Mm-hmm.
and oh my god, no, love that. And it's so like some of those scenes, even though that you can be like, ha, 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 it's like a nervous,
Mm-hmm.
like a nerve, like you're nervously comfort, and it's a nervous comfort, because nothing really, horrifying or horribles happen yet. It's coming,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, you're kind of like, ha, 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 look at this, and it catches you off your guard. All right. So our number 2 on our list is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, and we needed a carpenter on here.
Yes. Yes, we did. I think this is a great representation of Carpenter.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's a remake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also one of those, everybody's always like horror remakes are bad, horror remakes are terrible. Not always true. And, they're not new. They've been remaking horror movies since forever. But The Thing is the perfect example of how to do it right and how to do it good. And yeah, like I just recently saw this. I went to the drive-in theater to go see it. They showed that's the one thing I think that the one thing to come out of COVID is, I've always been a drive-in enthusiast. I love to go to the drive-ins and watch movies, and there has been no shortage of really great horror movie double features this summer. And recently in August, I went and saw The Thing, and they were showing it with The Purge. And even still, watching it at the drive-in, I love this movie.
Yeah, and fun special effects and things.
Yeah.
Well,
And Wilford Brimley.
Wilford Brimley, yes.
Wilford Brimley. Rest in peace, Wilford Brimley.
Mm-hmm.
But and Kurt Russell's good. I'm sorry. I have always been a fan of Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I will always be a fan of Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
And love him in this. And and I ask you also, it was so funny because given the whole circumstances with COVID and everything, I'm like looking at this story of The Thing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is how I feel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if only the COVID test were as easy as, lighting your blood on fire.
For real though, yeah.
Yeah. But and I love the isolation, and just it really does. This movie makes you feel isolated, paranoid,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know who to trust, you're like, who's the monster? And yeah, the one thing you are certain of is that it is not Kurt Russell. That is the only certainty in this movie. Not our hero.
And for number 1, the original Night of the Living Dead.
Yes, always and forever will be one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
No matter what. There's no movie that can replace it.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to give it just an honorable mention. I do like the Savini remake of it.
Yes.
And it is good. It is a good remake, but I still the original.
Let's see if I can point to it. Okay. Right up there. Above the bat there. You can't see it.
A few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
when they did the first Living Dead Fest, we actually live near where the original Night of the Living Dead was filmed. We're not very far from Evans City, so we've got to make trips there and everything, throughout our youth. And a few years ago, when they did the first Living Dead Fest, I actually got to go, and I ended up meeting John Russo and Russ Striner, who was Johnny. And this ends up not even being the first time that I encountered Russ Striner. I had a couple other meetings with him afterward, and John Russo both, George Kassan, who played Sheriff McClelland, and Charles Craig, who was the newscaster in the movie. And it was a great time. It was really fun, and they were all amazingly sweet, personable people. Like it was, you know, out of a lot of the festivals that I went to, that one was my favorite. Like I just had so much fun there, and it was great.
Yeah,
And
and the Romero zombie movies were a source of local pride as well.
yes, yes, it's a thing, you know, in our neck of the woods.
And like the
So
Monroeville Mall.
hopefully, if you're watching this, you've already seen Night of the Living Dead. But you know, I just for its time too. It was made in 1968.
Hmm.
It very much so was very kind of taboo at the time. You know, like it touched on a lot of topics that we still have issues with today. Which I think is what makes it so significant
And timeless,
for,
yes.
yes. I mean, horror has always been used as a commentary on, you know, the cultural happenings that we are dealing with currently.
Yeah,
Um,
just like Dawn of the Dead with consumerism,
right.
taking place in the mall, and such.
Um, and that's what I really do, you know. And this is another one of those, you know, like I think for me, and this is, if I'm looking through my list again, you know, a theme for me is with horror movies that I tend to really like is isolation.
Hmm.
I like that isolation, you know. If you can properly convey that to me, then you know, um and I think this did really good. You know, it's isolation, helplessness. You know, what do you do? You know, we're trapped.
Also good for video games, I would
Yes,
add.
yes, yes. You know, as the inspiration for a lot of the survival horror games.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, Resident Evil series and everything, and well, I mean, zombies in general. This is like
Yeah.
the modern context of zombies, where it broke away from the
Hmm.
Haitian, you know, zombies like well, I think of, you know, White Zombie with Bela Lugosi, you know, or at The Serpent and the Rainbow with Bill Pullman,
Hmm.
you know, based off the stories of Wade Davis.
Yeah, I remember running that one back in the day too.
Right. um I mean, you know, I know a lot of people don't think of those in the context of being zombie films, but I mean they are. But they're just there's a difference between the voodoo zombie and Ramiro zombies. Do you hate fast zombies?
I
I
don't.
don't.
Uh, meh.
I think it depends.
Yeah, that's it.
There are sometimes, but I don't always. Like, I didn't like the fast zombies in the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Hmm.
I didn't really like that one. I thought it kind of. But I've come to the, you know, there are certain times where I don't hate fast zombies.
Yeah, it's gotta depend on the context.
Right, right.
But certainly, I love the slow zombies. You know?
Yes. Yeah, I mean the slow zombie works great when it's like a horde of slow
Yeah.
zombies, you know. But when you're dealing with just like one slow zombie, it's like I can outrun you
Yeah.
until I run into your friends.
Mm.
But that's our wrap up for our lists. Be sure to hit us up in the comments below. You know, comment on what we've done here, or you know,
What's your
add your
favorite?
own.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your favorite? So, you know, let us know. We like to know these things. Don't forget to follow us, subscribe, and
Yeah, and we'll see you in. We'll see you later, and see you in the comments.
yep. Bye.